devolution in the country. In studio with me is Daniel Chemno, the Wasit Gishu Deputy Governor. We also have joining us live from Kisumu County, Dr. Matthew Ochieng, who is the Kisumu County Deputy Governor. Just before we went on break, Mr. Chemno, Dr. Matthew Ochieng there reiterating again why NASA is taking the position it is taking, even in the wake of the recent chaos that have been witnessed in the country, saying that the bigger issue was the legitimacy of this election and the manner in which it was conducted. But of course, the bigger concern now comes in after the Supreme Court upholds the re-election of President Uhuru Kenyatta. The bigger task is uniting a deeply divided country. Jubilee does not seem to have the goodwill to water down some of its stances to meet NASA in the middle.
I just want to say that first, before the countdown to the elections on 26th, Chiloba did set up a team, a task team, that managed the election. The team of Chiloba and other senior officers were put aside so that the elections that were held on 26th was managed by a new team. Remember also, the chairman of the IBC did tell the NASA team they were free to check on their servers. They were allowed if they wanted to check how many people voted. But I think the NASA team had a fixed mind from the word go. Because even when those changes were done, they just refused. Remember, there is law. You cannot simply say, sack so and so. You must have due process to investigate and to prosecute. But the fact that the Chiloba did set up a new team to manage, I think it's upon NASA people. They do need to do some soul searching amongst themselves. Because the IBC team did accept that, yes, let us set up a new group of people who can manage the elections. And it's also upon them to really bind to the idea. They also went, after the election, through proxy, they did go to court. And of course, the court decided to rule the way it did, based on law. So I want to urge the NASA people that it's upon them. They accepted the first verdict. The second verdict is also there. There are two ways. The court could rule again for NASA or to rule on the other side. But a ruling is a ruling. But I am happy. His Excellency the President has said he's going to work with all Kenyans. He's going to serve all Kenyans. We can watch the actions of the President. I do believe the President has a goodwill for this country. And being his last term, he wants to set a legacy, because he's not going to run again in 2022. So I believe he's going to set a legacy. He wants to have a legacy in his term, final term in office. And I want to believe that he's going to engage all Kenyans together.
All right. And just borrowing from what President Uhuru Kenyatta said, that he will work with all Kenyans. Dr. Ochieng, perhaps your thoughts on that, because there has been a perception of a discord, so to speak, between the national government and the county governments, especially governors who are elected on an opposition ticket. Your thoughts on how devolution would work forward with the
election that was held, you know. We have always said that was probably, you know, an opinion poll for the other coalition. So we have a plan. We did say in August that we were very prepared for the election, that we will go for that election, that we would vote, we will count our votes, we will transmit our votes to the tallying center, na tukasema pia wakiiba tutawanasa. And that's exactly what we did, and the Supreme Court supported us. So having said that, we know that the elections that were held are not legitimate. We do not recognize them. But we are living in this country. We have a political life, but you also have an economic life. And indeed, but it is true that the current standoff is affecting the economy, not just in Kisumu, not just in Nairobi, not just in Eldoret, but the whole country for that matter. If the economy of Kisumu was to be shut down, for example, then the whole country will feel it. If the economy of Nairobi was to be shut down, for example, the whole country will feel it. So the Jubilee coalition needs to appreciate the fact that we need each other, They need to appreciate the fact that they cannot rule the country without some parts of this country getting involved. And the sooner they know that, the better. We need to come back, around as a people, as a country. We need to talk together. We need to reason together for a one unitary state called Kenya, a country where all of us, and I mean all of us, whether you're an El Molo, whether you're a Luo, you're a Kikuyu, or whether you come from Mombasa, we all have an equal opportunity and an equal stake in this country called Kenya.
All right, Mr. Deputy Governor, just a quick reminder, you're speaking to Michelle Ngele, standing in for Betty Kialo this morning. But just borrowing from what you've just said,
Sorry.
I mean, Kisumu County and Nairobi County are one of the worst affected in the wake of the recent chaos that have been witnessed. Take Kisumu County, for example. It is demonstrations that have seemingly been supported by the governor, the deputy governor, members of parliament, MCAs in the region. But the cost of that chaos has seen a lot of infrastructure destruction in Kisumu County. This, even as counties all across the country say that there are no funds trickling down to the counties. How then is Kisumu County, for example, planning to recoup all this money that has been lost in the destruction of the very chaos that you support?
I think our issue in our county of Kisumu is more historical. And if you look at the history, even if the way they deal, I mean, demonstrations have been everywhere. But the way the government has dealt with demonstrators down in Kisumu leaves a lot to be desired. Now, we all know that we do not need to destroy property. We all know that we need to protect businesses. We all know that we need to have a peaceful country. But we also know that we can agitate for political space. We can demonstrate against stolen election. And that same government must be able to protect our property. They must be able to protect our people. We have demonstrated very peacefully in the past. I mean, this is something that you can confirm. We go for a demonstration, we get back, we disperse.
But who destroys property
that happens
in Kisumu County?
after that?
Who destroys the property
Well,
in Kisumu
the people
County
destroy
during
property.
demonstrations?
The people destroy property. That's just like they can do anywhere else, but we are saying it is the responsibility of the state to take care of the people's property and to take care of the people's lives. Now, if you talk about lives, for example, we have had so many people being killed unnecessarily. We had baby Samantha Pendo being clobbered to death by the same security agencies that were meant to take care of her life. And I mean, this is a fact of life. And for that purpose, we know that there are people who have been punished because of baby Pendo's death. So we are saying the state must take keen interest in Kisumu. They must take keen interest in the property of the people in Kisumu and just give them protection the same way they give protection to the people elsewhere. Of course, as a people, there is so much that we can also do among ourselves and that we're already doing. We want a peaceful county, but we want the state agencies to help us ensure that there's peace, there's security, and there's, opportunity for everyone else to do business.
All right, so let's speak to you, Mr. Daniel Chemno. I mean, matters devolution are now coming up, even in the wake of the very fact that the legitimacy of the government in transition is in question. But what would you say now? Because in the first term of devolution, the issue of funds seemed to be the biggest issue. Governors are still crying out that funds are not trickling down to the county level. What would you attribute this to? What has been curtailing funds from reaching county governments?
I think it has all been the issue of the treasury. It has not released development funds to counties. And remember that all county governments operate under one single information management system called IFMIS. And you cannot procure any item, you cannot award any contract when that system is controlled from Nairobi. So what has happened is that from the beginning of the year, there were certain months in April when the system was off, so counties could not transact much. And so that has been a challenge. Also, release of funds. Remember now we are going to December. Our development funds for this financial year have not been released, and that will affect our operations towards this financial year, because we have to there's a procurement process and awarding of contracts. It's going to be affected. So what I think should happen is that the government should have released the money so that county governments should have been able to move on or operating. Another thing is that when the uncertainty of the election as it had been caused, what happens is that many business people have not been paying their revenues to the county government. So most county governments are lagging behind in collecting of revenue because of the political uncertainty and disruption. Remember that our business people, they transact their businesses across counties. And when such chaos occur, then you definitely that people are going to hold. And I want to urge people from all sides of the political divide to be cautious on how they manage their followers. Because as you have seen, what happened is that in some areas of this country, some business people were targeted because they were perceived to belong to another political divide. Right. And this has actually caused problems. The right of Kenyans to be everywhere is being affected by the utterances and actions of leaders when they inspire their people to be intolerant to other people to the extent of forcing them to close down their businesses. All that it gives a wrong picture. And I want to say that our business climate is not conducive to us as Kenyans. It will be more difficult to a foreigner. If you want to bring a foreigner to Kenya, he will ask you, how safe are you? And when you want to express that, oh, we are very safe, he will remind you, what happened to this supermarket that was looted? What happened to these matatus that were burnt? You get a rotten egg on your face.
Right. So, of course, the political situation, like you rightly mentioned, and it's a middle ground I'm finding now between you and Dr. Ochieng, joining us live from Kisumu, is that counties cannot operate on their own. And in terms of the funds and devolution or collection of revenue from the counties, if there is chaos in Kisumu County, then it will impact economically areas of Uasin Gishu County, Central Kenya. Doesn't that then necessitate the need for a different approach to the political situation that we're having, so that, for example, you rightly mentioned when we began that Jubilee can handle Parliament's legislative matters, but don't you think there should be a different approach in a bid to incorporate the demands or the, the concerns of the opposition at this point?
I think, one, both leaders of the political divide need to tame their followers. If you tame your followers, then you can agitate for what you want, but allow people to do their business. But when you see followers of certain leaders being intolerant, even to an extent of forcing people to close their wares, it becomes wrong. Right. I think just take what happened in Jogo Road. Here you saw a young man carrying a bunch of bananas with a knife that must have entered into somebody's body. Surely, you cannot explain to us that it was right. That was pure robbery. And if you don't tame your people to be civil, and they go to that extent, it becomes bad. Remember that picture has gone all over the world, showing that Kenyans are robbing bananas from women. It's bad. All right. You need to tame your followers. And I want to tell you that peaceful demonstrations can take place if we manage our followers. That you set the rules of the game. Don't touch anybody's property. Don't harm anybody.
All right. And let's perhaps hear from Dr. Ochieng on that, because the opposition has also been accused of mismanaging their followers.
From the national government. Now, that simply shows that as a country, our destiny is shared. We must fix our politics for us to gain in other fronts, especially at the economic front. I mean, we all know that Kenya as a country is undergoing some very difficult conditions at the moment. There is very high inflation rate, and most of the basic commodities are actually out of reach of the common man. So I know that as a county, the image that probably people like my friends see is an image of people who are probably intolerant, people who are out on the streets agitating for their rights. But I also want him to know that we are a county, and I want the whole county to know this, who are very keen on developing our region economically. And that's the reason, for example, why we have come up with a regional economic bloc that we call the Lake Region Economic Bloc. And this bloc actually has Bomet as one of the members, has Nandi as one of the members. And of course, we have Bungoma, we have Trans Nzoia, we have Busia, we have Kakamega, we have Vihiga. We have Kisumu, we have Homa Bay, Nyamira, Kisii, and of course, Migori. What we are trying to say is that as a region, there's so much that we can do together. We need to think about a regional bank that can work for our people, that can give them access to credit and to allow them to do business in a manner that is not currently available. We are looking at the market that will be there, given that we'll be having a population of like more than 14 million. So the issue of the economy of the region, of the county, the economy of the country, for example, is a concern for all of us, and it goes beyond tribe. It goes beyond counties. It goes beyond regions. We're also aware of the existence of similar economic blocks all over the country. So the issue here is that we have to fix our politics. We have to have a leader who can inspire hope. We have to have a leader who can inspire the economy, who can inspire people to be able to grow in terms of the way they do their business. Now, having said that, a lot has been said about how, people have been stealing, like the example that my friend has given of somebody who stole, so to speak, bananas under a knife. Now, how do you tell that that is an opposition supporter? I mean, the opposition normally demonstrate in a very peaceful manner. We have carried out very peaceful demonstrations before. So any act of hooliganism, any act of stealing, I mean, the buck must stop with someone. And as far as we know it, it is not in our power. It is in the power of the government and the security agencies to ensure that people's property are safe, to ensure lives are safe. Again, a lot has been said about how, people are intolerant, how businesses have been burnt down. But I also want to remind my very good friend from the county of Uasin Gishu that people have been killed in many places. Just the other day in Nairobi, in Ruaraka constituency, there was ethnic profiling. Yeah? A certain community lost their people. Yeah? How come they're not talking about that? So we have a national problem, and my opinion, and of course the opinion of many Kenyans who voted for Raila Amolo Odinga, is that we need to fix our politics. The sooner we do it, the better. But one thing we know, one thing for certain, that one day in our lifetime, Kenyans will celebrate like the people of Zimbabwe.
All right, Mr. Ocheng, we don't have much time. Let me give you your final thoughts on this. And first of all, like you just mentioned, of purported or alleged ethnic chaos in Nairobi, it is something that has not been confirmed as ethnic chaos yet, has it? And what is the plan then for the likes of Kisumu County, who is resisting, so to speak, in the development progress moving forward?
Yesterday, on Wednesday, on Tuesday, sorry. We had a meeting of all the business people in Kisumu, the county leadership, and the security apparatus, of course an appendage of the central government, to be able to look into ways of solving our issues as a county and just ensuring that there is peace and that there is no looting of property, there is no blockage of roads, and that things are as near normal as possible. We know that as much as we agitate for our politics, we also have to think about our well-being economically. The two must run concurrently. And so, yes, our people will still continue to agitate for their political space. They'll continue to agitate for good governance. They'll continue to agitate and fight for a free society, but at the same time, we need to ensure that we have bread on the table, that our businesses are running, that our healthcare system is on course, okay? We will do our part, and we ask the government through their agencies to kindly do the part they're supposed to do.
All right. Many thanks for speaking to us, Honorable Ochieng. Honorable Chemno, your closing comments, please.
I just want to give an example of our experience in Uasin Gishu. We have a strong NASA population, or people who voted for NASA. They are business people in the community. They are in our town. But I want to tell you that their businesses were never affected at all. Even after the ruling, after the first election in August 8, under the ruling, the people in town were civil. Even in times when they were celebrating, we ensured and we told the people never to touch their neighbor. Because after the elections, your neighbor remains your neighbor till one of you parts. But so long as we are still in this world, we need to embrace one another. I want to give you an example that in Uasin Gishu, both the NASA and the Jubilee supporters are very friendly. You must have seen in the media then that after the election on 26th of October, the NASA people said they are doing well, they are doing their businesses unhindered. And those are some of the things we want to say, good practices that we want to encourage. As leaders, when you talk to your followers, especially those who have been elected, they listen. And one of the challenges that we have in this country is that people radicalize their followers to an extent that when they don't get what they were looking for, they make their followers vent anger on the other side. I think we need also sometimes to be giving out realistic expectations. And after winning, we need also to know how to manage expectations. And I'm happy President Uhuru Kenyatta said he's going to embrace everybody. Development in this country will not be influenced by political affiliations. I think you are aware the standard gauge railway is now leaving Nairobi to Kisumu. And that's a big investment. So let us accept, let us take the president by his words in confidence that he's here to build a legacy. He has pledged to unite the country. I do believe that the other side also should accept that there is a president who is in place and they need to work out ways together on how they can be able to raise their issues.
Right.
And that's why democracy is both direct by the people and through their representatives.
That's a good point to end this conversation. Many thanks for speaking to us. Honorable Daniel Chemno is the Uasin Gishu Deputy Governor here in studio, and joining us from Kisumu County, Honorable Dr. Matthews Ochieng, who is the Kisumu Deputy Governor. A conversation on the cost of chaos witnessed in the country, as well as its impact on devolution. I'll take a short commercial break here on KTN News Center. Do stay with us. When we come back, we'll be speaking to Neda Jehu Hoya about the Luku Luku campaign, which is a funds drive launched by the United Nations Refugee Agency on refugee support in Africa, with Kenya hosting about 500,000 of the 20 million refugees in the continent. Do stay with us.